Hello, my name is Misha Sharif, and you're watching Decoding Careers, where I talk to professionals about their careers. Today we have Jalal Farzada, who works as the Director for Accounting and Finance for Toyota. Now here's some information about accounting. On average, the salary for a CPA ranges from about $41,000 to $119,000. Most accounting positions require at least a bachelor's degree in accounting or related field, but some employers prefer that applicants have a master's degree in accounting or in business administration with a concentration in accounting. Every accountant filing a report with the Securities and Exchange Commission or the SEC is required by law to be a certified public accountant or a CPA. CPAs are licensed by their state's Board of Accountancy, but in general, it'll probably take about 4 or more years of schooling. So, Mr. Pizzada, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Misha, for having me on this call.
Thank you for being here. Let's go ahead with our first question, which is, what three words best describe your profession?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I would say the three words that come to mind for this profession, because this profession has to do with a lot of trust for executives and the numbers we are reporting. So trust, integrity, and doing the right thing. I think those are probably the three most important things the way I would describe my profession.
Great. And honestly, accountants also deal with a lot of money, so it is very important to be honest and trustworthy. That is definitely something that is needed for when you're dealing with money, which is something extremely important. I know I talked
Right.
about this earlier, but could you describe to me what educational background is best for this kind of career?
Absolutely. And I think I want to clarify something at the beginning that you mentioned about a qualification. So what you describe, the salary and the position, that's more of a entry level position. So the salaries, just I want to put a little bit of clarification. They can go from $50,000 to million plus and infinity. I just wanted to clarify that. As you get higher, the salary and benefits get higher. Okay, so in terms of the educational background, so in order to be a CPA, you need a bachelor's degree in accounting and you need a master's degree. With having both of those, you can do them in 5 years versus 6 years. Having both of those, you sit in for a CPA exam, and that is very important in what I do. We have an army of CPAs working versus people with just an accounting degree. People with an accounting degree, they're more of a bookkeeper, or if they don't have an accounting degree, the people who have an accounting degree and master's and a CPA, they're the future. They become future leaders as manager, senior manager, director, CFO, and CEO. So but the requirement and what I'm doing is undergraduate, master's, and a CPA.
Okay, so that's just like the education, but other than education, are there any special certifications or training required for
Yes.
this job?
So absolutely. So CPA license is very important. That's a 16 hours exam that we do. And I did that over, I think, 20 years ago. And ongoing every year, we have special training and certification that we have to do to keep our license fresh. So we do typically about, I would say, 40 credits of educational stuff in our industry every year. And in over 3 years, that should be 120 credits. So this is an ongoing, so for example, and a new accounting treatment uh, comes out and we need to study it, we need to be ready for it so we can implement that into our company. So that's precisely the reason that we have to do all this certification
Okay, so
and
there,
training.
okay. Okay, so there is a lot of education required, and you still, it's kind of a job where you kind of have to build off of what you know, and you keep on have to learn. You keep on having, it's more of like you learn a lot more than you just, other than like just the basic education. You just go to college. No, instead learn and learn and learn. And I like that because I feel like when you learn, you're a lot more open-minded to other things. So
Right.
the basic the basic understanding, I've always thought accountants, it's always shown this in like movies, it's always shown this in like cartoons, where an accountant is just somebody who just sits there and they just crunch the numbers all the time. And it's a really boring job. But I
Yeah.
kind of want you to prove that wrong. And can you
Sure.
describe to me a typical
Yeah.
day in your job?
Yeah. Yeah, no, 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 and you know what? That's the Hollywood version, and they kind of glamorize, unglamorize us because of, they call us bean counters. That's the word that we look at. So that's how it begins, actually. Because one needs to understand how numbers are recorded and summarized. So the way I would give you a picture. So if you look at a puzzle, any puzzle, and you basically have to fill in the pieces, and the middle piece of the puzzle, that's really accounting and finance for every company, because we understand all facets of the company. We understand what sales is doing. We understand what loans are doing. That's just in a few examples. We understand how deposits are doing. We understand how bank is doing. We understand how HR is doing. We understand how information technology is sort of interacting seamlessly with all our different systems. So accounting and finance is really I would say, the middle of the puzzle. And with that information, it's a very powerful information. I could go to any company and generate financial statements and tell you, where are they making money, where are they losing money, where is the fat, where is basically growth. And that's really important, because that's not the bean counter, meaning, as you said, the Hollywood version, very boring job. That's how it begins, because that's the foundation. But it's actually very analytical in the sense that you're able to look at financial statements, able to look at companies' books and records and say, okay, we shouldn't do the business A, we should really do business B, because that's where we are making money. And then when we have to merge and buy out a different company, as that has happened so many times, we can make that decision better by looking at, by their returns, how their cash flow has been. So it's actually a very fascinating field, and I get to do a lot of really cool stuff. So from that point of view, it is that foundation that you're talking about, a little bit of boring, but then as you understand, just like a foundation of a house, then you can build and understand different rooms. You have a media room, you have different things that really do help you to do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like now that you've kind of explained out accounting, I understand a little bit more. It's definitely not the boring job that Hollywood unglamorized, definitely. And as somebody who does like to analyze things, I will definitely keep that on my list of careers that I would like to look into even more. Could you just, we're talking a lot about various kinds of things that you do. Could you describe to me a typical day in your job?
Right. So typical day in my job is we have a team, and I lead a team as well. We have meetings every day, and we discuss what is the progress of some of the projects, some of the goals and strategic objective that we had set out to do in the beginning of the year. What was the mission? What was the vision by CEO, CFO? What did we have to implement operationally? Where are the bottlenecks? So we have those meetings on a daily basis, a group of, let's say, 60 to 200 people at different point in time. And that really helps me when I talk to my peers in, let's say, sales or origination, or in accounting, or let's say in IT, different facet of the organization. It really helps me understand the pulse of the business. And when I understand the pulse of the business, I can do a better job kind of understanding, A, what progress have we made? where are we stuck, and where do I have to step in to eliminate those bottlenecks. So then the other part is we analyze the numbers. So every month we close our books and we analyze, okay, did we make money? Did we lose money? If we made money, what was the reason? What was the drivers? Because we want to have that analytical exercise, and then we have to explain these numbers to our executives and the board that, okay, this quarter, basically we just closed second quarter, June 30th. Our results were X, Y, and Z due to ABC drivers. And those are very interesting discussion, because then with that knowledge, our executives and board, they're able to make decisions, but they're relying on our trust, that we've got the right numbers, we have the right story.
Okay, so you guys are like the heart. You guys, and without accountants, I would say a business is not going to go anywhere. You definitely need accountants.
Yes.
Definitely. So, what do you think are the three most important skills needed for your job?
Yeah, so I would say, you need to have obviously the right education. So if you have a marketing degree, you cannot do this. You need to have an accounting degree and a master's degree, and you need to definitely have your CPA, which I encourage all of you to do that. Two, you have to be able to see the big picture. So the example that I always give is, you have a bird's eye view and you have a dirt in the ground. You should be, for any problem or any solution, you should be able to see what the big picture is and what the dirt in the ground is. That really, and that skill actually comes over time. It's like a knife that you have to keep on sharpening every day. And it takes years for some people to master this art. And the third thing I would say, you have to be a good listener. I think in today's environment, we live in a very and also I should probably say that accounting and finance is a very fast-paced environment, just to the nature of the beast. So you really need to be a good listener, and because being a good listener, you're able to observe the different facets of the company and what's going on. When you're having these meetings and people are telling you, where they have bottlenecks, where they have progress, and you should be able to connect the dots, and that's really important. So, you need that education. B, you need to be, analytical, in the sense you should be able to see the bird's eye view to the dirt on the ground. I would call that analytical. And third, you need to be a good listener. And I think those three combination would make you very successful in this field. And I think they have worked for me. And I've been able to, rise up through the ranks. And that's what I have learned from my mentors. And I think that's what I would encourage other people to follow suit as well.
Okay, that's great. So, listening to our conversation, I can tell that there is a lot of work involved with being an accountant. So, how do you balance your personal life with your work life?
So the work-life balance is in every field, and it's really one of those things that as you get older and you have a family, that juggling aspect becomes better. So the work-life balance is, obviously the basic requirement is 40 hours, but I think I work much more than 40 hours. But let that not deter you, because monetary reward is definitely there. So I would say, the work-life balance is you take a look at what are your most sensitive deadlines. So we have a checklist, and then we try to accomplish those really fast. And if we have some low hanging fruit, quick things they're on a checklist that we can, whip them out quickly. So obviously we would do those. But as for me, I always like to, plan things out. So let's say this is end of July, and people are coming back, from vacation and going on vacation. So so I like to say, okay, we know we have to close July month end. Do we have the right people who are not on vacation? And if people who are on vacation, who are their replacements, or who is their backup? So just a little bit of planning ahead really does help the team and myself. But having said that, we encourage everybody to take vacation, and I make sure everybody on my team takes vacation. As I took my vacation, I would say my second vacation, that last week we just got back from Hawaii. So I was very fortunate, to have a team who can rely on me, who I can rely on them to kind of, get the, boat moving in my absence. So work-life balance is very important. The biggest thing is just planning ahead. What are the deadlines that we have to complete, and then we chip away in a very orderly manner without sacrificing somebody else's vacations.
Okay, so definitely, you guys definitely do plan ahead, and planning ahead is important, not just for accounting, but I'm sure planning ahead helps for everything. Planning ahead and like scheduling, it's also something that is very important. Other than just personal life and work life, what are some challenges that come with your profession?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest challenge for us is the challenge. Every industry has challenges, and every month every week there is a different challenge or different nuance that we deal with. And I think one of the biggest challenge that I see is multitasking. And when we multitask, which obviously in social media age, popular culture, we have different things going on. We overpromise, underdeliver. So I think that's one of the biggest thing that I see, as a challenge. But if we plan things, as I was saying in my previous comment, if we plan things properly, any challenge can be overcome. And it gets better, as we grow older. I mean, I've been in this profession close to 20 years, and I can tell you my first year, how challenging it was compared to now. So, every day, every week, every month has different challenges, but your experience, that has kept me in the industry, that really helps me to do a better job in terms of overcoming them. Some challenges, they're outside our scope, are outside our control. And a lot of time, one thing that happened this week is, maybe I can mention that challenge as a generalization because I cannot divulge any private information. It could be, bringing two teams together, because two teams, they're working in silos and they're not talking to each other. And as I explained to you, accounting and finance is really that puzzle in the middle. So when I see some bottleneck between different teams and group and segment, sometimes it's very simple just to bring them together and have a conversation. Just say, hey guys, this is problem here, this is problem there, and we are having because of you guys. How can we work together to solve this? And sometimes it's easy as that.
Okay, and here is the last question for our interview. If to our audience, if you have not been paying attention, this is probably the most important question. So please pay attention. And the question is, what advice would you give to a high schooler who is trying to pursue this career?
And I give this advice as I have kids in high school and elementary as well, and I give the same advice. Pursue your passions, because as a high schooler, you know we are different flowers. Everybody blossoms differently. I blossom differently. John, Dick, and Harry, they're gonna blossom differently. I would say whatever that is, don't worry about that. Don't compare yourself. that XYZ or ABC, I always say follow your passion. And I would say look into your strength and weaknesses. Because at high school, as a high schooler, you start to get an idea, what are your strength and weaknesses are, and whatever your strength and weaknesses are, have an idea or start to ask your question and soul searching. What would I want to do for the next 40 years? And the only thing that comes back to me is follow your passion. Whatever your passion is, whether it is becoming an actor, whether it's becoming an entrepreneur, like let's say Elon Musk, or let's say you want to be a rocket man, like Elon Musk, or Jeff Bezos, or you want to be a programmer, like Bill Gates, or you want to be an investment banker. I would say whatever that is, follow your passion, because if you follow your passion, not only you will excel much faster and you will devote all your time, and your money will follow. Then money will follow because you will do a better job versus your parents say, no, you got to become a doctor. No, you got to become a scientist. And you may not like those two avenues, and fine, you become a doctor, but then it's kind of like, well, I became a doctor, but that was really my parents' dream. So, going back, follow your passion.
Okay, that's great advice. Thank you so much for doing this interview, Jala Uncle. And now, thank you so much to all our viewers. Thank you so much for watching.